First thing we're gonna have this morning, we're gonna stand and Henry's gonna lead us in a prayer.
Father, Lord, once again we come before thy presence, thanking you, Lord, for blessing us to see another day. And Lord, to come and participate in the business of this county. Lord, we just thank you for all the grace and mercy you bestow upon us. We ask you, Lord, to bless this meeting. Bless, Lord, the thought process, the decision making. And Father, that we'll do all things that's acceptable in thy sight. Father, we just thank you for all that you do for us. We thank you for the salvation that we have through faith in Christ Jesus. We thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. We do the pledge of allegiance. Like I said earlier, we welcome everybody here this morning. We're going to start with we call old meeting to order, and we're going to start with the approval of the agenda. We've got a few changes, gentlemen, we need to take care of. Miss Sandy Pittman's not going to be here, so Reba will take care of the budget amendments because they're out of her department. Billy Wynn is supposed to be here for surplus equipment, but I believe Toby's going to take care of surplus equipment he has for sale. And Miss Renee will not be here today. You all got emails from her. If you have any questions on the budget, we'll deal with her when she comes back. That'll be fine. And also, Ms. Joy Future was asked to be moved from the new business up so they could get back to their office. So we're going to move her up to just above the department reports, underneath the citizen comments. Are there any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to see us establish a policy of our citizens' comments as it was last time. It seemed to go over very well and gave the opportunity for those in attendance of the current business to make a note and comments on what they were. So I'd like us to have a standard operating procedure of citizens' comments at the beginning as well as the end, depending upon if a citizen so desires to comment on the current business as well as prior business.
All right, gentlemen, how y'all feel on this?
That's fine with me. I have no problem with it.
Jack?
Are we talking about adopting something today or allowing something today and coming back later? Or
A permanent procedure. It seemed to go over very well, and I think the citizens deserve an opportunity to speak on any current business, regardless of what their position is.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I believe you were asking if it was the consensus of the board to allow citizens to have a second comment period.
Yes, sir.
And I think the consensus of the board is what we need to deal with, and the policy, we can make that as a motion, and we can vote on that as changing it. But we have the question of consensus. I think we need to address that.
Okay. Jack, what is your part of this?
I'm okay with that.
All right. Johnny, we know yours. Kenny?
Well, I'm fine with it.
All right, my opinion is the same. I believe it's a good idea. We moved it to the beginning because complaints were that the business was taken care of before the comments were made, and that's why it was moved. So that was moved to the front. So basically, we'll add a section before the the commissioner comments will be moved in, and we will add another citizen's comment for today, and we'll deal with the policy that's set in place right now for the next meeting. Is that fine with everybody?
That's fine with me.
All right. If that be the case for today's agenda, do I have a motion that we accept the agenda as modified?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right. Next on our agenda will be the approval of the minutes. Y'all have had a copy of the minutes in your packet. I've had a chance to look over them. Are there any adjustments to the minutes that you feel like we need to make for September the 7th and September the 19th?
On page 975, it was just a corrected spelling error on the very first sentence, second sentence, excuse me. And Diane knows that.
Is that on the 19th?
Yeah, the 19th minutes. The first sentence at the top, or second sentence from the top under citizens' comments. Instead of who, it should be how.
This is really, as far as the minutes, Chase, can you mark the video with to the agenda? Do you have the option to mark the video with a time lapse period?
You're talking about like a timeline on it, or?
Yes, like on the agenda here, as we go down to these things and just say that this occurred, like taking the agenda here and putting a timeline on the agenda as it occurs.
That's something I would have to look at, mainly because, that would probably add the time it takes to get the video online. That would increase it probably by a lot, so I'll have to look at it for you.
Some of the older equipment had a marker that you could just hit the button and it would time stamp the video.
We'll have to look at it.
Okay. All right, if you could do that, I would like to see that.
All right, if there are no other problems.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I have one addition I think we should make to the minutes. On September the 7th, on page 963, where it said Chairman Twine made a motion to proceed with the current zoning status. That motion was made as a result of a discussion we had and an agreement that we would not hold up future businesses that are applying for cell tower permits. So I think we need to clarify the fact that the motion to proceed with the current zoning status so as not to hold up businesses applying for cell tower permits.
Where was that at?
Middle of the page.
About a third of the way down.
Okay. How would you like, Henry, that's,
Oh, we could just add, so as not to, at the end of stat, where it says zoning status, so as not to hold up businesses applying for cell tower permits.
okay. I have no problem with that. All right, any other changes, gentlemen? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So move.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, next on our agenda, we have a little special recognition for some of the employees and some of the volunteers that worked with the county during the storm Irene 6 weeks ago. There was a lot of things that happened behind the scenes that were done by county employees and some volunteers. We've got some certificates for people. We'd like to present them this morning to the whole department. First thing, Timmy Hedgepeth, would you come up, please? Timmy, this is some certificates for your guys that work with the county and make sure that the water department worked while make sure the water was all good and the generators were ready to run and everybody was safe and kept the water going to get the county when we needed it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay. Next, Ms. Reba, would you come up, please? We have Ms. Reba and her group, BJ and Edna and Paul. They all man the community center to take care of any volunteers that come in with donations. And she said they stayed in there all day Sunday and part of the day Monday, is that right?
Not Monday.
All day Sunday, for any volunteers that come in and wanted to help and to bring supplies that were needed. and we appreciate her people and her being there for Sunday in case, we did not knowing what was happening, we had to plan for this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ruth. Crystal, Patsy, and Nathan. Come on up here. This is our maintenance staff and maintenance supervisor here for the county. They took care of getting everything prepared in the buildings, getting all the telephone equipment, and make sure there was a generator set in place to keep our equipment in our county running. And then they also were here the next morning to start getting cleaned up so we could get the county back moving again. And we appreciate all the work that y'all done. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Edward, this is for the Sheriff's Department. Our Sheriff's Department maintained constant surveillance of Gates County during the whole period of time, 24 hours a day. For the whole time we were out of lights, they made patrols, along with help from the Park Department, the Highway Patrol, and the Game Commission. They made sure somebody was patrolling Gates County all the time. Actually, there was a break-in that was stopped at the Buckland School during one night, and it was done by the Game Commission and the Park Rangers, if I'm right.
Park
They
Rangers,
actually stopped.
Sheriff's Office, no, we caught the man in the act of breaking into Buckland School.
And we appreciate Edward and all his people that kept us safe during that time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Edward. Colleen? Colleen and her team from DSS manned the shelter at the high school. Made sure that, how many people did we have there?
About 75.
There were 75 people that stayed at the high school for Friday night and Saturday, all day long, before we closed it Sunday morning. And her people took care of making sure that they had what they needed at our high school, and that the shelter was ready for them when they got there. Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you.
I've got certificates for the rest of the team. I'm going to come down and present them this afternoon.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate it. At this point, I'd also like to, Billy's not here now, we will recognize him. Our county emergency manager done a terrific job having us prepared for the storm when it got here, making sure that we on top of everything and the recovery afterwards. We were much more prepared than we were for Isabel. And if it had been a lot worse than it was, I feel like we would have been up and running a lot sooner than we did after Isabel. But Billy done a great job of making sure that everything was ready to go when the storm got here and after the recovery. All right. The next on our agenda will be citizens' comments. I should have picked that while I was up there. The first citizens' comments. If your name's on here and you rather would wait till at the end of the meeting, I would request that you let me know when I call your name. The first on there is Joe Green.
My name is Joe Green. I'm from Ewer. I have a little letter from my wife. I'm reading it on her behalf. She was an employee of the library. She retired at the library, and these are her comments. I was employed at the Gates County Library when it was located at the Grits Building and then in the old courthouse. I was amazed at the number of people who use the library. It is important to know that a large number of people use the library in-house materials. Most library research materials are for in-house use only. It was not uncommon for a patron to come in, gather needed material, find a quiet corner, and make notes, information they needed. These materials never left the building, so they were never counted. Children's programs often included Hands Out. These materials, excuse me, these materials weren't counted. These materials come to us from state library or created in library at our expense. and that's at the local library. Summer reading handouts and activities are planned with State Library summer reading themes. Throughout the year, programs are presented to various age groups with handouts and activities. Teachers may ask for special subjects, and libraries makes every effort to meet these requests. Excuse me, I can't. Basically, there's a lot goes on at the library that the people don't know about. So these things were not counted and shown as people coming to the library. But they happen, they're very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, next on the agenda, on the citizens' comments, Wade Askew. Morning, Wade.
Commissioners and citizens of Gates County, I'm Wade Askew from Ewell. Our first library, we all know, was in the old health department, and then they moved it to the old courthouse. We've never had what we call an actual library here in Gates County. And I just got an article I just wanted to mention briefly where the mayor of Northampton County just, where they redid their library, called it the People's University. And the vice chairman of the Northampton County Commissioners, I'm quote a little bit from him. He noted that the library's bank of computers are constantly in use for a variety of purposes, including continued education, online classes offered by Chowan University, East Carolina University, Roanoke Chowan Community College, and Halifax. Our citizens are our greatest asset. Hessner stressed that we, the commissioners, are always attempting to give them avenues to expand their potential. And go down where Jim Gossip, the mayor, quoted, "They are essential to our democracy and educational institutions, economic development, and lifelong learning," he said. "They are people's university because their availability are all regardless to all ages, skill set, and economic circumstances." And as I was reading the paper last week, I checked on some figures, and I noticed that the square footage in some libraries weren't exactly right, didn't correspond with what they should have been. In Bertie County, we were told that there was only 4,132 square foot of library space, but Bertie has two libraries, one in Windsor with 5,076 square feet, and one in Orlando with 1,891 square feet, with right at 7,000 square feet of library space. And that was basically 3,000 square feet more than what we were told they had. And in Hertford County, we were told they had 5,000 square foot, but they have three libraries, one with 1,770 square feet in Ahoskie. And by the way, the one in Ahoskie, they're looking at relocating that library to expand because it is so small. And in Winton, the library has 6,052 square feet. In Muffinsboro, they have 5,000 square feet with an additional 5,000 square feet upstairs. That's a total without the storage upstairs of 12,872 square feet. So we can see that there's quite a bit of difference in their square footage. And Northampton County has now, with their addition on their library, they have 8,100 square feet. So if you take everything in consideration, our square footage of 8,100 square foot is really not that large. And if you want to plan for yesterday, make it 3,000 square feet. But let's not plan for yesterday. Let's plan for tomorrow. You know, as I was growing up, I remember outhouses very well. My grandparents kept magazines, newspapers, catalogs in there. They called it a lot of things, but they never called it a library. So let's make it a little bit bigger than that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Wade. All right, next, Mr. Anthony Felton.
I'm gonna wait for the second go round.
Secondary round, okay. Okay, that takes care of our first round of citizens' comments. The next thing we...
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am. If you'll come up here and... You don't have to put your name, she'll write your name down, make sure that you get in the minutes.
Okay, my name is Tiffany Clements, and I'm from Gates, and I live in Renderson Township. Speaking of the library, each one of those areas that were mentioned, they have different citizens that live in that area. So for each area that's lived in, then of course the library is going to be much bigger. As far as a library, in my opinion, yes, you do look out for historic areas, but we are so advanced, the United States is now. Children have e-books, they have computers, they have all types of materials as far as updated information. And I know books are very important, but each school has libraries if a child wants to, as far as looking at books and things of that nature. I feel that, you know, we are a small county, and we should do something else with that money. Yes, there's the Old Family Foods here in Gatesville. There's the correction facility. We can, you know, do some type of out structure as for that. But as far as building a new library, I think that's unnecessary as far as the money. Yes, historic, yes. But as far as something new, no. Because the citizens here, the few times I have been to a library, it's not like it's overflowing as far as going to like a Hosking and those other counties as of that. And as I said, mostly everybody has pretty much computers in their home or e-books or whatever children use, even on their cell phones. I feel like we should do something else with our money. Look at all these mobile homes that are empty. Look where all the people are gone to now. They've gone back to the city or wherever else because they can't afford to live here. And we don't have anything to offer, such as a nice grocery store, something like Walmart, something like that. We need something here to bring in money. The library is not bringing in money. Is it bringing in money? No, it's not bringing in money. So that's my thoughts of that. Yes, I know everybody wants to keep it as historic, and that's fine. But we don't need all of those books and everything and make it bigger. We're not a big county here. What do we have? What do we have to offer that's real big? We don't have anything. So why spend all that money, our taxpayer money? And everybody pays taxes in here, don't we? Don't we pay taxes? So don't you want some good with your money? Don't you want to see something here? Huh? Don't you want to see something here?
I want to see it.
Yeah, you do. I mean, we have to live for the times. I mean, we have young people who are striving out here. Yes, we have an older community, and that's fine. But if you want the library, keep it as historic. But don't spend all that money on something brand new and big that it's not like everybody's going. Because look at the people in Sunbury. They don't have a library. They have to come way here. And then what Mr. Hart was saying, he was giving that the amount that come. It's really the people in Ewing and Gates County. Sunbury don't really come here that much. Well, he gave a percentage, didn't you, Mr. Hart? He gave a percentage of how many come here, and it's more or less Ewing. Am I correct, Mr. Hart?
71% of those card-carrying people that were on the 2-year active list came from Ewing, Gatesville, Roduca, and Gates.
That's right. So that just says it all, how many people would use the library that really would come here. So, I mean, I think everybody needs to really think about it. I really do. Because that's our money, our taxpaying money.
Mine too.
I just said our taxpaying money, sir. Yeah, it's our money.
Thank you, I appreciate the
Okay.
comments. I don't want to get into shouting match.
Oh, no, I'm not going to shout. I'm not here to do that.
Thank you.
No.
We appreciate your comments. We do.
I'm not here to do that. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, next on our agenda, we're going to move up Miss Joy Futrell. Did you come? Okay, there she is.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're here to give you our semi-annual report from ECBH. I'll try to make my part as brief as possible and allow Joy to give you the financial report.
button. I think you pushed the button on your.
Here we go.
Okay, thank
Is that
you, sir.
better? What I want to hit on briefly is our movement towards Medicaid waiver. We have been selected to be the Medicaid manager for behavioral and developmental health, and we will start that process in April. That will change how Medicaid for behavioral health and developmental health will be affected in the future. Hopefully, we will be able to tailor services for our citizens, improve services, and create results. We will be held accountable by the federal government, by the state government. We will move forward with all dispatch to make sure all of our citizens get the Medicaid services they need, while we focus management on getting the best services for the most reasonable amount of money. And we expect that we'll be extremely successful. We feel like the provider community is going to be more than adequate and able to deliver the services, and we're excited about it. It will make a significant difference in our budgets, and Joy will speak to that, but our responsibility will be much greater, and our intent is to perform the duty extremely well, to serve our citizens with every bit of ability we have. Do you have any questions on the waiver before Joy gives you some money stuff?
Joe?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank y'all very much for moving us up. We're bringing up a brand new IT system, and we're in the final hours of that, hitting a few glitches, so I appreciate you moving us up so I can get back and take care of that. I'm going to go over the fiscal monitoring report. The one y'all have is for the end of our fiscal year. We do these each quarter, and unfortunately, the way we're hitting our first quarter one is due to the state on October 20th. So you're looking at our final one from last year. You'll receive our audit, which will have the final audited figures. The county manager should get that sometime early November, December. The revenues up front, as I've told y'all before, these first ones are just funds that pass directly through us for providers. So while they came in year to date a little low, the expenses did as well. They've got an exact line item on the expense side for the exact same amount of money. So there was no problem with those coming in under budget. The county appropriations you see under that, which again are the county funds and the ABC funds. Here in Gates County, we've got a wellness recovery class going on right now at DSS, and I believe last I heard we had about 3 participants, 3 citizens from this area participating in that. So that's where your county, the majority of your county dollars are spent. Under that, you'll see service management funds. They're the funds we receive from the state to do our local management duties, which are everything from answering that line 24/7 when consumers call to access services to working with our providers. That amount will change April 1, as Mr. Wilson said, when we go live with the waiver, because we'll be, instead of being responsible for just people who are covered under state-funded services, which are those right now who do not have Medicaid, Medicare, or any kind of private insurance, we'll also be responsible for coverage for all Medicare eligible participants from our 19 counties. So, I'm sorry, did I say Medicare? Medicaid from our 19 counties. So anybody that has Medicaid from any of our 19 counties, if their county of eligibility was one of our 19 and they receive any type of behavioral health care services, whether it's in the ED or at a provider, we'll be financially responsible for those and clinically responsible for those April 1st. So our budget will move from a budget of about 63 million to about 200 and some million. So significant increase there because of those Medicaid funds. Underneath that, you'll see our service delivery funds. That 41 million represents the funds we receive from the state to provide services to those state-funded consumers throughout the 19 counties. So you'll see our total revenue, our total budget for the year was right at 63 million. We received about 93% of that at 58 million. The expenditures are under that, which are the same line items for the service management. Provider payments, you'll see that we had budgeted about 52 million and spent 41. The majority of that gap is due again to those Medicaid pass-through funds that we had budgeted one number for Medicaid funds to come through us, and they came in at a lower amount. So at the end of the year, we ended up with approximately, and again, this isn't our final audit figure, but about 20 million in fund balance. Just to give you an idea on that, about a third of that will be spent, is being spent right now, our board approved to spend to bring this waiver up. So we've had to, the new IT system that I mentioned, we've had to hire, and in the process of hiring a lot of staff for that waiver. So we're using our fund balance to finance that, and then in April, when the waiver comes live, it'll pay for those personnel expenditures. Are there any questions about any of this or expenses related to the waiver? We're about halfway through that. We've got our hiring divided in 3 phases. We started in April. The final phase that we'll recruit for is in February. So we're about halfway through right now. We're right in the middle of phase 2 at this point.
Are there any citizens of Gates County been considered?
I can't tell you that right off with I would be shocked if there were not. There are positions listed. We go through the Employment Security Commission. We also have them listed on our website. Most of the positions we're recruiting for are in Greenville, but there are a lot, too, that can be anywhere in the 19 counties. A good example is care coordination, where the care coordinators work directly with some consumers, high-risk consumers, and they can be located anywhere throughout the 19 counties. So I can't give you the exact figure, but the positions are posted in all 19 through the Employment Security Commission.
And I understand there's approximately 220 positions that are being...
There are about 220. It is in that range.
Is that all across the system? I mean, each office everywhere?
It's all across our 19 counties.
How many you expect to move into the Hosky offices?
The Hosky office, the new employees that are there have primarily been in the finance area. And again, that's like any of them. They could, for a lot of our positions, because of our technology with IT, they can really work and do some of the jobs in New Bern or Hosky, sitting in their home in Gates County or wherever they might be as well as they can. So most of the ones that have been hired in Hosky are primarily the accounting people who need to be in there to write the checks and all.
One final question. The advertisement for those positions, how is that being done? Is it a website or is it going through the Employment Commission, or just how can our people be aware of that?
Both. The Employment Security Commission has them posted, as well as our website. And I believe, I'll get that wrong, we've just changed our website, but I believe it's www.ecbhlme.org. If that does not work, if you'll Google East Carolina Behavioral Health, all the open positions are listed there. And we've had a lot of applicants, so that's been a good thing.
Joy, is that something where we could put a link on the county website?
If your IT people can do it, that'll be fine.
There's IT people right now. Okay.
If you have any problems, let me know. Any other questions?
Any other questions, gentlemen?
I think I asked you this last time, I can't remember, on what the total administrative costs were of the current budget on a percentage basis.
Right now, if you look at service management funds, those expenditures on this fiscal monitoring report, for last fiscal year, we spent right at 7.1 of our $50 million budget in administrative funds. And I want to be real clear, when we say administrative, I think sometimes people think that's just answering the phone, writing a check.
Right.
In our case, it is clinicians who answer the phone when a consumer calls during a crisis or a provider calls because they have a consumer they can't deal with. They'll call that 800 number. That clinician will link them with a service or with a provider. It's working with the provider, so it is that whole amount.
Joey, we don't have that sheet that
No.
you just showed.
Oh, you don't have the fiscal monitoring report?
We need that before you leave.
Okay. I can give you this one if you want to make copies. I've got a few notes on it, if that's okay.
That'll be fine.
Sorry about that. I thought y'all, no, I don't need that one back. I thought y'all had that. Usually it's sent to, with the, when we're put on the agenda. Any other questions?
Just one last thing. We do read these reports, and so on page 46, I'd just like for you to make a correction there. Well, at the bottom of page 46, under Gates County, at the second bullet, it says Cooperative Extension Agency funding to provide summer activities for at-risk Hertford County youth. I know that's a typo, but it should be Gates County.
Yeah, and it's Hertford County on the next page, so I'm wondering if that got copied there or if it's a typo, but we'll find out and let you know. I see that, because the next page, at the top of 47, the same information is for Hertford County, so we'll get that updated if that should be Gates County and get you the correct numbers for that.
All right. Appreciate it.
It should, okay.
All right, anything else, gentlemen?
I have one more comment. I just want to thank the board and the county for the active participation on our area board. Commissioner Jernigan has been very faithfully attending and participating, and I want to thank him personally for the continued work we're getting out of him.
Thank you. We appreciate your time to come go over this with us.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda, Reba will deliver a couple budget amendments.
Good morning.
morning,
The first budget amendment is for the SHIP program. That's budget revision number 12.
Y'all building boats over there now?
No, SHIP is the seniors program where Stephanie works with people to get them on the right Medicare Part B program. And this is just a revision of the carryover amount once all the budget figures got finalized and the new money coming in for fiscal year 11-12. And then the second budget amendment, budget revision 13, is for our SOS program, which runs on a federal fiscal year. So the first year, which was 2010-11, closed out, and based on what they sent us in advance and what we actually spent, we needed to give a refund back. And so this is to take care of the refund for the first year. That's it.
What are the SOS funds?
That's 4-H Support Our Students, and that's the middle school after-school program that runs on current grant, and this is the last year of it.
Are there any chances of getting it next year? Or do we
I'll
know?
have to try to find new funding. This grant that it's on now was only for 2 years. Original monies was the money that previous Governor Bear Perdue cut in the initial budget cuts that we had for years. And then I was able to find gang prevention funds for 2 years to continue it running last year and this year.
All right, gentlemen, you've got the two budget amendments. Are there any other questions about them? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve the two budget amendments.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the budget amendments 12 and 13. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reba. Okay, the next on here, Toby, you
Yeah,
got
I'll take
something
care
for
of this
Billy?
one. You should have in front of you a surplus and disposition of assets form. A couple meetings ago, you approved Billy Wynn acquiring the facility that Verizon was given from Sunbury. He has acquired it. He's in the process of remodeling it. And as part of that, he's acquired some scrap metal, copper wire, and et cetera. He would like to scrap it and take the proceeds and put it back into his emergency management CERT program.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the amendment.
We've got a motion to approve the
Just the request for
the
disposition.
request for surplus and the scrap material from the donated material. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay. All right, now we'll be moving into our old business section. Our manager has the water billing cycle.
Yeah. A couple meetings ago, you asked myself and Renee and Timmy to begin working on some proposals for changing the water billing cycle. Just going to give you a very brief update to say that we've had some meetings about it. I believe there's a plan that we're going to implement and probably bring to you at the November meeting once we've fleshed out some more of the details. So just to give you a status report on that, there is progress being made. It's not complete yet, but there is progress.
Do you think it's gonna work out? I mean,
Yeah, and to not go into a lot of details, I'll just be very brief. I believe what you'll see is the county divided in half and to go into 2 billing cycles is what you're going to eventually see. So, and again, without going into a lot of details, because we haven't determined who's going to be on which cycle and how that's going to work out. Those are the details that we're fleshing out at this point.
okay. All right, any questions? If not, we'll move to the,
Toby, was any of that gonna go to a 2-month cycle also?
That is something that Timmy has proposed in the past, and I don't think he received the warmest of reception from the commissioners. As of this point, I'd say the answer is probably no.
Timmy, is that by books when he says counties?
Yes.
Okay,
The county will be split, we have 5 books.
Right.
2 and 3 will be one cycle, and book 1, 4, and 5, and that's splitting the county kind of in half population, so half will be due 1 week, half will be due the other week. All the meters will still be a 31-day billing cycle.
okay, thanks.
Timmy, while we're talking about water department, just something quick. I got a couple calls this week about a couple water leaks. I just thought I'd bring them to your attention while I'm thinking about it. One is the one we talked about on 158.
Yep.
And the other one is down on Light Street Road, I believe, down there close, somewhere down there.
Light Street.
Yeah, I'll get a little more information. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Any other questions about water billing cycles?
All right, next.
Next is the LS3P contract. At the last meeting, it was pushed to this meeting. You have in front of you the original contract and a revised contract in which I've renegotiated with LS3P, and I'm sorry. Here are your revised. You should have received them via email yesterday. There's a hard copy. The total design fee has been reduced down. Put my sheet up. Here we go. As indicated on the contract before you.
You also indicated there was some wording issues that you and Pitt went over.
Yeah,
Want to
Pitt,
touch base on that?
sure. And if you will look at, if you have your original or the new or both, sections 4.3.1, 4.3.4, I apologize. And the concern there was the way that sentence was worded. It indicated that if the project was not complete within 6 months, that we would move out of this contract into additional fees. Obviously, they're not going to be able to start, build, and complete a project of this magnitude in 6 months. So that has been renegotiated to 18 months. The next one was 5.8, which addresses the original wording required that we made the architect and any consultants additional insureds as part of our insurance. That has been changed. And 9.7, which would have required if we had terminated the contract for any reason, that we pay for any services that have been rendered plus what is being quoted as an amount for the architect's anticipated profit of the value of services not performed, which is obviously ridiculous and ludicrous for us to pay something of that magnitude. So that has been changed. Those were the changes of 9.7.
Mr. Chairman, I have some concerns with the contract. As in addition to that which has been pointed out, as I look over the contract, I see there's quite a few things that I have questions about and concerns. I look at 3.1, And it talks about the architect's basic services consist of those described in Article 3 and Exhibit B and include usual and customary structural, mechanical, and electrical engineering services. For this particular project, you would also want them to include civil, because there's going to be landscaping issues and various type issues that fall under that. So I question why would that be left out as well. Under Section 3612, and these are just some of the examples. These are not all. I'm not going to try to give every question that I have, but I have quite a few questions on this. Under 3612, it talks about the architect shall advise and consult with the owner during the construction phase. The architect shall have authority to act on behalf of the owner only to the extent provided in this agreement. The architect shall not have control over, charge of, or responsibility for the construction means, methods, techniques, sequences, or procedures, or for safety precaution programs in connection with the work, nor shall the architect be responsible for the contractor's failure to perform the work in accordance with the requirements of the contract document, so on. As I look at General Statute 133.1, there's a little bit of a contradiction, as well as this document under 3622. It goes down, it says the contractor has the authority to reject work that does not conform to the contract document. Now, here you say you do, but in another place you say that, we can't hold you responsible for anything. The general statute says that the architect will give us a certificate of completion that assures that the work has been accomplished in accordance with the contract documents. So I have questions on, there's so much leeway here that's been provided that I'm not sure you can hold them to anything. If something went wrong, the architect could cite one paragraph and say, hey, I don't have to do that. But if they want to make some changes or whatever, then they do have the authority. So, I have concerns about it. That's not the only one. There's other areas that I've noted, and I won't go into all of them, but I just will say in conclusion that paragraph 3661 talks about them providing a certificate for payment. And North Carolina General Statute 133.1.1 says the architect shall give us a certificate of compliance and completion, I believe the words are. So, I'm not sure that we want to settle for a certificate of payment to the contractor. I think we need to have additional words in there to make sure that we're receiving what we're getting. So I have issues with it.
Pitt, would you like to weigh in on that? Any of these issues that Mr. Jordan has brought to us?
Well, the only thing I can say, if there's issues that if you have issues, we would need to, if you want us to address those with the firm, then to write them down, because we went back and forth with the firm on some things that we saw initially. So that would be my only recommendation, that any commissioner that had some problem with the contract, that as it is written now, that we'll be glad to go back with them and renegotiate or make them aware of that.
Well, obviously I have a problem with the price, and I don't think we need a middleman to do this. We are not building a sophisticated piece of manufacturing equipment that has installed equipment that has specifications and things that must be from a productive standpoint. This is a building. Most everyone in here lives in a building. and has built a home. It's not a complex thing to do. This General Statute 133.1 that Henry was talking about says it can be an architect or an engineer. Now, an engineer with a TurboCAD or AutoCAD can perform these functions very easily. To know it, we have a county manager up here. We got 5 commissioners that are capable of managing a project. Why do we need to go out and spend this kind of money? This would commit to $160,000 before we do anything. Drive one nail, lay any cement, or move any dirt. Does that make sense to you as a person? Would you, as an individual, going out to build a home, would you invest in this way? I would not. These are middlemen. This is a wholesaler. They are design build people, as I presented last time. There are several of them. They have their own architects and engineers. We have a preliminary design concept. A normal bid process, you contact X number of people. You can present those preliminary, and the general statute is not, and it's 143, 129, I think it is, and it is not. You do not have to have, according to that, very detailed drawings at that point. You don't have to have that. You only had to have it when you go see the building permit man to build the building. That's when you must have these detailed drawings. These people can present them. These builders, I want someone that's going to build a building that I can sit across there and talk to him. He has this experience level to do these things. What we did, we went out and had maybe 8, 9 people that we wanted to bid on a project. We sat down with a preliminary scope design, exactly what's in here with these things: heating, plumbing and gas, electrical wiring, general work. These were outlined. These were in a scope plan. They were presented to these contractors. They went back and did their own site, and you just said, I want you to come back with a design for me and present the product, just like going out and buying a car, whether it's a Ford or a Chevrolet. I want the spill. Well, then you accept those, and you put that accepting of the one that you got that came back from these people, you put them all out for bids. Back to the same 8 people. They get a chance to bid on those. Exactly what they want. The burden comes back on the contractor. Now, is it in the price or not? Yeah, it might be in that bid. But that's important. This is $160,000. And not one thing has been done other than paperwork or to be done. Does this make sense to you? It doesn't to me. I've managed projects like this before. I know how contractors work. And Mr. Bazemore, I'm sure you know too, sir, and a few others that's been in management positions and dealing with these kind of things. I just don't think this is a good deal. I think we can do better. Matter of fact, I know we can do better. And I don't want to be wasting taxpayers' money. I think we've wasted enough as it is. Simple as that. Now, we can take a different approach. Anyone familiar with capital leases or operating leases? Well, an operating lease is just like going out and leasing anything. At the end of the commitment period, there's nothing there unless you do it. But with a capital lease, which we would probably do it, let's say, for instance, I went out there and I went to Jonathan Jones and I said I needed $1 million to go build. The county can buy a building and there's no stipulate, no red tape, no nothing. Isn't that right, Toby?
Well, no, there is a process in place.
I understand that,
To
but
say that there's no red tape involved would be inaccurate.
but if we wanted to buy a building, we could purchase off, sign off, and buy the building.
The county has the opportunity to purchase the building, yes.
Right, that's correct. So, how do you approach this? Let's say I wanted to go build the county $1 million building. Well, go down to Jonathan Jones, say, hey, I needed $1 million. Where's your capital? Well, I might have to put up $500,000, $250,000, 20%, let's say $200,000. How many of you today, this is a loan that this is going to be paid or either through your tax numbers on the graph that I showed, 6 or 7 cents on your tax dollar through 2017. How many of you today are earning 4% on your money? Anybody? Okay. If I went down to Jonathan, he would loan me $1 million for 4% interest. And let's say 5 years, just like the plan was. And I turned around to the county and said, well, for 6%, you can lease this building. And the county comes into a commitment to lease that building for 5 years now. Let's just say that. At 6%. Well, those statistical dollars, that would cost about $127,000. I believe it is. And we're going to spend 96. There's $27,000 here. There's a net gain to the county of $73,000 if you did that. Now, you as an individual, would you go borrow $1 million at 4% if you knew the county would pay you 6%? Guaranteed. Would you do that? Would you take that 2% and earn $27,000? I would. Now, what do you do if you do? So let's go get a group of investors, 10 people, 10, 20 people, whoever wants to be involved. Now, $27,000 over 5 years don't seem like a lot of money, but it's guaranteed. You don't do anything but sign your name. What would you do? I had the paper here. I was going to put it on the chart there, but decided not to, but I did have those somewhere. But anyhow, it's simple. There's other ways to do things. Let's take the gentleman that built the new Missionary of Hope out there. He could do those kind of things if you signed up to lease it from him. And you know what happens? After you can lease it for 1 month and you can turn right around and buy it. It's open-ended. A capital lease or an operating lease. So there are other ways to do things rather than spending this kind of money. There's a lot of red tape doing it this way. You had to have these things, but I cannot see anything in the general statutes that tells us that we have to go through this approach. There are other ways to do things that are legal and are cost effective. And we want to, and like I said, I'm not up here to debate anything about the library, but I'm going to tell you, I want value for my dollar. I don't like throwing away money. That's my charge. That's my occupation. So, and I think most people would agree with that. We don't need to be spendthrifts. We need to be wise. And I do not think this is a wise move. I thought so from day one. I still continue to think so. Everyone has an opinion.
Thank you, Jack. Johnny? Jack, would you like to make a comment?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a comment that I would say that every year all across the state of North Carolina and even other states, there are buildings built, governmental buildings, whether they're hospitals or libraries or county office buildings. They use the process that we're looking at here from LS3P. There are substantial reasons why they do that. There are general statutes in place that require governmental agencies to do certain things in certain ways. They are there to protect the citizens. They're there to protect the project and make sure it's done properly. And, Mr. Chairman, we have talked about this over and over. Last time I made the comment that the people who came to the podium said, we need a library, but, and I want to remind the commissioners here that, yes, approving this contract, we are signing a document, agreeing to certain things. But this is getting back to the cost of things, this is the beginning part to where the bids go out. And that's important. We don't have a dollar figure on this. They did reduce some of the fees on the contract this week, knowing that this was coming back before us. So, Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
We were in discussion on the contract, and we have not completed discussion.
Jack, would you hold off on your motion?
And Jack, how
Well,
about
first of all-
stating the
first
general
of all-
status?
Hold on, gentlemen, Henry, would you complete?
First of all, I'd just like to ask Mr. Jordan, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chappell made a presentation, and then Mr. Hoare spoke up. I did not hear the chairman call for discussion.
I did not call for discussion. I was asking opinions from each commissioner at that point in time.
And that's what we were commenting on.
Yeah,
And every commissioner has not had an opportunity
that's right.
to talk about. I have other things to discuss. I mean, we can do it after the motion, but from right now, the discussion was here. Commissioner Hoare, Commissioner Owens, Jernigan has not made any of the comments, nor have you. So it has not been even. And after that, then the motion.
Yes, sir, I will.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, at this point in time, we're gonna finish your comments.
I'm finished.
Okay. Kenny, would you like to make a comment?
No, I think Jack says pretty much how I feel. Jack, what I was saying, I feel like what Jack was saying is very much the truth. I think everybody up here has come to the conclusion that we need a library. What Jack was saying, there's a procedure that the state of North Carolina and our government here in North Carolina has gone through, and they have looked at it. And I'm sure that this contract meets all those specifications, because this company does this basically, I'm not gonna say daily, but certainly weekly or monthly. And I feel like there's nothing. I know Henry has some concerns, and I don't have a problem with that. But I feel like the contract is probably a good contract. They reduced the prices this week just in talking to them. And these are, you're really not going to know exactly what this price is until you get some bids back. And if they come in lower, certainly I think this price comes down some. Is that not right? It's not.
It's not a percentage. It's not a percentage of the construction amount, it is a fixed cost.
Okay, so this is a fixed cost. I really don't have a problem with it.
Okay, Henry, you got another comment?
No, I'm going to have discussion. Are you going to entertain discussion before the motion, Mr. Chairman, or are you going to have the motion go
I was
forward?
gonna call for a motion after each commissioner made their comment.
All right. Okay.
And then
My position.
Didn't think you finished your comment. I'm gonna let you finish your comment.
My position on moving forward on this contract is I think it's premature. First of all, we have solicited requests for qualifications for the renovation of the old library. We have sent out for engineers to give us their qualifications on how well they are experienced and capable of renovating this type of building. I think the old courthouse certainly should be considered in this equation of how we're going to move forward on the library. I'm all for a library for Gates County. I want the best for Gates County. I'm not against the library, but I do want to make sure that what we do is the right thing and that we spend our money wisely. It's every one of our monies, not just a few. So it seems to me that the best approach would be, we've got the request for qualifications for renovating the old courthouse. We know we want to save the courthouse. Why not, let's wait, select the engineer that's going to renovate the courthouse. Let's see what the feasibility of keeping the library in the courthouse, as far as space, as far as equipping it with the infrastructure, electrical and electronic infrastructure we need to support computers and whatever. All that is going to come out once we get the request for proposal from the engineers that we select. Now, once we get there, we're going to have the old courthouse to see what that's going to look like, to see what the cost is going to look like, and we can compare that to this $1.5 million we're proposing to move forward in building a new library. Now, if it's going to cost $5-6 million to do the old library, which I don't think is going to be anywhere near that. But if we could do the old library for $1.5 million and keep and put the library back in there, I think we have made money. Because first of all, if we're going to go forward and build $1.5 million library, and all of a sudden now we're going to look at renovating the old courthouse, we're going to be spending double monies. So my position today is, I think we should say to LS3P, you've given us the information, we know the direction that we can go in from this option. We're going to hold off. If it takes us another 90 days or 120 days to determine where we're going to go on the courthouse, we'll weigh the two options. The best option, that's what we'll use, and we'll go forward in getting a library that's suitable and technologically advanced for our citizens to move forward. So I would not vote for it tonight.
All right, thank you, Henry. I have no comment. At this point in time, we're going to call for motion on the contract.
One more comment.
Sir, I've called for, you have had your comment. We're going to call for, we're going to finish this point, then you can go from that point on. Thank you. We have a motion on this contract. If we don't get a motion, you got a problem?
Yes.
Would you please calm down? Thank you. This motion, this contract was brought from the last, we've got to act on this contract now. Either one way or the other. If there's anything after that, then we will go from that point on.
I make a motion then that we postpone this contract or terminate the contract pending the information that Mr. Jordan has just presented.
Okay, we've got...
I will also like to add, if any of you gentlemen would quote any of these general statutes in here that tells me that I've got to follow this procedure, I'll be glad to listen to them. I've seen 143.29.
You've made a motion. We need to go ahead and move on that, sir.
I second.
We've had a motion and a second. Is that right, Henry?
Yeah, I second that motion.
You got that? Motion and a second. That we terminate the contract, or what was the motion?
No, I didn't say
You
that.
made two parts.
Postpone.
Either this or that.
That's right, but I will postpone it until we get this other data that is pertinent to this contract.
Your motion is to postpone this contract for the data for the
Courthouse,
old
until we
courthouse.
find out what our total exposure of expenses are and what is the best course of actions for the citizens of Gates County.
Okay, the motion is that we postpone this contract until we have a total exposure on the old courthouse. Do we have a second on that? Henry made the second on that. You got that? All right. All in favor? Raise the hand, the right hand. All opposed, like sign. Right hand. Then. All right. Now we've acted on that motion. Are there any other motions that need to be made on this contract?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make the motion that we approve this contract presented by LS3P.
All right. We've got a motion that we approve the contract as presented by LS3P. Do we have a second?
Yes.
We have a second. All right, motion and second. All in favor, raised by right hand. All opposed, like sign. Henry, did you oppose that?
Yes, I oppose it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The next on the agenda.
recess.
We're gonna take a recess. I'll hunt this all the paperwork up. We'll go ahead and take the recess. Take a recess, John.
For the conclusion of the contract, you should have budget amendment in front of you to pay for the said contract.
Yeah, they passed. Everybody got a
Y'all should have
copy
a
of the
copy,
budget amendment? All right, you've got the budget amendment approved, to pay for said contract that was just approved. Do I have a motion to accept the budget amendment?
A little discussion.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, I'm not in favor of moving the money out of the fund balance. It's kind of funny to me that it just happens to be on my desk today. It's a little preemptive, isn't it? Evidently must have known that this was going to pass.
Mr. Commissioner, we were supposed to act on this today. We were set up, either way, it wouldn't make any difference if we didn't act on it. We could have been thrown away.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll accept that.
Okay, we
Mr.
got the...
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I will, it goes right in line with what we just approved. I will make the motion that we approve this budget amendment to provide the funds to move forward.
All right, we've got a motion. We have a second.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. All right. You get it? Okay. Got that? All right.
Okay, that's all I have this time, sir.
All right. The next on our agenda, we're going back into new business again. We've got a couple of appointments to the, one of them is for the reappointment of Abram Saunders, James Sears, John Taylor Kittrell to the Gates County Human Relations Commission. Each of them was sent a form that the county uses. Neither one of them filled the form back and sent it back to the county. Are there any recommendations? Would you like to reappoint them, or would you like to have them contact and see if they will send the form back? They've been serving on the board for several years. Mr. Saunders has been on there for nearly 20 years, I believe.
Mr. Chairman, have they all indicated that they want to serve?
Yes, sir.
And these all are reappointments.
Yes, sir.
I would make a motion that we approve their reappointment, but also that we have the clerk continue to call them about returning the appointment letter. That's a motion.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Secondly, the next one, we've had also an appointment of Ms. Sandra Nickens and Ms. Ann Howell to the Gates County Community Advisory Committee. In your packet, you do have a form that they have submitted. I hope you had a chance to look at it. If you have it, I'll look at it right quick.
Mr. Chairman, I have looked at them, and I thought they did a very good job in presenting the information that was requested, and they both look very qualified to fulfill those positions. And I would make a motion that we appoint Sandra Nickens, Mrs. Sandra Nickens, and Ms. Ann P. Howell to the Community Advisory Committee.
We got a motion and a second to appoint Ms. Sandra Nickens and Ms. Anna Howell to the Gates County Community Advisory Committee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, the next thing we have is you've had a copy of the request for qualifications from the architects for the old courthouse. What we need to do on that is to choose approximately 5 of them to interview for qualifications to make a decision on the engineer. We need to, are there any that stand out as a primary for anybody that we'd like to go ahead and try to make this? My personal, looking through them, they all are qualified. I personally would like to see a North Carolina company chosen, but we're looking at do that on fact of we have to address each one of them.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
As I looked over these, I saw one that stood out, and we have to select 5,
Yes, sir.
but one that I was very impressed with, and one of the reasons on page 15 of WBA, WBA, Ware Bonsall Architects.
We got 19, if y'all will be a little patient with us on this. A lot of people are interested in helping us with our courthouse. WBA, is that right?
WBA.
Cover looks like the...
And on page 15.
Okay.
They took the time to present to us their approach to the project and how they would do it in phases and how they would identify the work that would need to be done. And I'm not going to read all of this. You can read it later. But they went into detail that what we are looking for so that it gives us an idea that they're going to thoroughly look at the best practical ways to restore the courthouse and certainly look at those areas that are needed, that needs attention more so than others. And the way that they broke this down, this is what I feel we should be looking for in an architect. The others were very general. They gave their qualifications on some of the things that they've done in the past, but they did not specifically identify what they would do for Gates County, and this architect does, if you read that information. So
That would be your number one choice?
That would be number one.
Okay. Did you have any other ones that you would?
Another one that was of interest to me was the McPherson Design Group out of Norfolk, and they did work on the courthouse before. My question would be to Ms. Silas and many others is, you know, how pleased were we with that work? I would, you know, they having worked on the courthouse before tells me that they've got, you know, inside knowledge and they know the structure. They've got a history of the building, and certainly they would be someone we want to consider. But also would want some input from the Historic Society, Ms. Salas and others on what their opinion of the work that was done previously. But I have them number 2 tentatively.
I'll tell you what, Henry, let's let everybody pick out 2, and then we'll see. We may have 5 out of that. We'll make it work. Everybody agrees on. Jack, have you got 2 that...
Well, the first one that Henry mentioned, on page 11, you'll notice, and I saw this earlier, that they are doing the Hertford County Courthouse, the first one he mentioned. Says here the status of that project is their construction documents are 100% complete. So Hertford County is moving along with them if their construction documents are in that status. They estimate bidding on that project over there September 2011. The estimated construction will be completed in 2013.
Which one was that?
That's the first one Henry mentioned.
Okay.
It's actually was my first selection, WBA.
Okay. What about a second selection?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons they jumped out at me. The McPherson, for the same reason Henry said. I looked through these with a lot of detail. I don't know.
Well, we've got 2 then.
Yep, I'm sorry, but that's...
Johnny, have you got 2 that you picked above the rest of them? Other than the 2 we've already got on the list?
No. And obviously, the McPherson was the people that really, and I hate to say that they're in Virginia, but they are closer. And I think there's a lot to be served from someone that's close to me, time-wise. And I like the one that Henry was talking about, and that was there too, but all I want to know is, how did we get all these? How did we notify these people? Or how did this come about?
Okay, let's ask the people that done it.
How did this come about?
Yeah, how did I get these documents right here? What,
They were collected in my office and given to each of you five.
no. How were they solicited?
How were they solicited?
We put out a request for qualifications through the
To-
county's website and through, Reed Thomas with the North Carolina Preservation Society.
I think,
Is that
Toby,
the answer to the question?
I think that the question also is asking that there's a general statute that says you have to put out a request for qualification, then you go for a request for proposal. So this is general statute driven.
Right.
This is absolutely general statute driven.
Right.
It's the same one that's been quoted several times a day, 133, 1.1, I believe.
The request for qualifications is put out on the website.
Put on our website.
Our website and the Reed Thomas,
And then he sends out an email to prospective clients.
they put it on our
Well,
website.
not clients. Clients is the wrong word. He is not a broker. He's a state employee that specializes in historic preservation.
So Reed Thomas picks who he sends this email to, or
No.
whatever.
Mass sent out to engineers throughout North Carolina.
I think,
Mass distribution.
if you look at the fact that architects from multiple states inside the country have answered, I think it's very clear that it was dispersed in a wide swath.
Generally, the way most of these contracts work, they put them on a open site, and contractors and architects monitor it on a regular basis. If they see something they want to inquire about, then they go from that point on.
And there is no one clearinghouse for RFPs or RFQs. It just doesn't exist.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to enter this one. We may not come up with five if we don't.
What's that one?
This is Clearscapes.
All right. Clearscape.
I think Commissioner Jernigan hasn't answered yet, but after he does,
Okay,
I have
yeah.
a different one I'd like to make a case for.
Commissioner Jernigan?
I had chosen this Oakley Collier Architects, and one of the things the reason I chose them is they just built the new building for Roanoke Electric there in Ahoskie, and Roanoke Electric was very satisfied with what they had done. And they do also remodeling. They don't do just new buildings, they do remodeling and all. And that was one of the companies that I would like to see thrown in.
Could you state their name again?
Oakley
This one right here.
Collier Architects.
Okay.
All right, put that up.
Oakley Collier.
Collier.
It's OCA.
Yeah, OCA. And they did come in on budget when they built that. Some of the things that I looked at were certainly North Carolina companies and companies close to us, not Greensboro and Winston-Salem. Indiana was, there was some out of the state of Indiana. Another one of the companies that I looked at was the Darden Ure. I don't know if he is from Gates County, but certainly being a close company there in New Bern, North Carolina. I've been to, they remodeled the fire department, one of the fire departments there that houses some of the old fire engines and stuff, horse-drawn stuff for the city of New Bern and some other projects in New Bern. And I thought, I've been in those buildings and they were very nicely done. And, you know, but I feel like all 19 companies were certainly.
So you want to add Darden Ure and Oakley Collier to the list?
Yeah. I'd like to, you know, have a chance anyway.
Okay. Most all the ones I had on my list fall right into that's already there. Toby, did you have anything different?
I actually would. I'd like to make a case for one that hasn't been discussed, and that's Hager Smith.
Hager Smith.
Yes. They were the principal architect for the Chowan County Courthouse renovation and the Camden County Courthouse renovation. The Chowan County was done in phases, which I think addresses Commissioner Jordan's concern. I would make the case that Chowan County and Camden County's renovations are probably the standard for Eastern North Carolina of how courthouse renovations should be done. I've been in both of those buildings, and they're exquisite. So I would like to make a case for Hager Smith to be considered.
Okay, I've got 6 on the list, WBA, McPherson, Oakley, Darden Ewer, Hager Smith, and was it Clearscape. That's 6. Would everybody be satisfied with?
Since MHA out of Greenville, I rated them fairly high.
MHA?
MHA. I know we're trying to get down to 5, but
I mean, we can interview all 7, 6, or 8 if everybody's agreed to it. It's not.
that would be the only other one I would add to MHA.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add to it? That would be 7 that we could interview. Would that be fine with everybody? The 7 that we just listed: WBA, McPherson, Clearscape, Oakley, Darden Ewer, Hager Smith, and MHA. Will that be fine with gentlemen? I mean, we can take this as a vote if y'all, we can consensus on this, being that we're choosing 5, we'll just take these 7.
I would recommend that you actually take a vote because you're going to exclude
Okay.
12 firms by doing this.
All right, well, let's make a motion, do I have a motion that we accept these 7 that I have named to interview for qualifications for the courthouse renovation engineering?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
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 Everybody say aye. All opposed, like sign. All right, now we'll move on from that point on then. All right, get all these together, there, which ones we're gonna use. We'll try to limit them to 30 minutes if possible, David, for the presentation. All right. Next on our agenda, we've got citizens' comments. I'm about to get the thing. I know we've got one on the list. Okay, Mr. Phelps, you're the only one on the list.
This is my second time, so I might be a little bit nervous at this.
Oh, you're doing good. You're not shaking, you'll be all right.
Instead of trying to take, taxpayers' money or most of it to, either redo or build a new library, can we kind of have fundraisers to help?
I'm sure that all possibilities are there.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, gentlemen, commissioner comments. Henry, would you like to make a quick comment?
Yeah.
Oh, Robert, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you'll come up here. The next meeting, if we do this on a regular basis, we'll have the sheet up there with first and second position, so you choose. Okay.
And I'll keep this short. Robert Winslow from Sunbury. I'm not sure what passing that contract means, but they talked about, maybe renovating the library and renovating the courthouse, putting the library back in there. I would urge, I don't think that's a real good idea. I think I'd rather go to a historic courthouse and go out of my way to a courthouse with a library in it. Countless times I've been down on the road and see a sign saying historic site so many miles, and go down there and look at it. And we could do that. I'd put a sign out there on 13 or 37 at Sunbury for a historic Gates County Historic Courthouse established when that was built, and maybe we could actually bring some money into Gates County, something for Gates County that generates money instead of renovating the courthouse and putting the library back in there. I think you'd be defeating the purpose. Thanks.
Thank you, Robert. Anybody else like to make a comment while we're here? We're gonna make, okay, next. Oh, yes, sir. Have you got your live music taken care of yet?
Beg your
You
pardon?
got your live music taken care of back there behind your house? Oh, that one was you there, I'm sorry.
No,
Oh,
wrong person.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Ashley Taylor, Gates County.
What township you live in?
Township?
Yeah, what's your address? Just your,
Oh.
the town.
33 Lee Riddick.
Lee Riddick, okay.
Yes.
Gates.
Gates, yes. As I travel across this country, libraries that have been used as a future place for its citizens is an outstanding addition to those communities. It's a place of relaxation. It's a place of catching up. It's a place of meetings, community outlet gets together. It turns out to be a center point for the community. If we fail to look for tomorrow a place for relaxation for upcoming retirees, we will lose our community because it has no significance. It has no center point. A library is the center point. If you travel through a town and the words pop up, public library, you know that you are in somewhere important because the community has considered its position of restoring history, whether we use it as a historical point or whether we do not. But a library is a significant part of the community which should be established. Gates County Library may be small, reason people don't come. But if it's a significant portion of the community, people will come. And Gates County is not going to be in a depressed community very long. The economy will change. And if we fail to see that change coming, we will lose. So my opinion, but my suggestion is that we continue to look forward for tomorrow, not today. Because if we look for tomorrow, it's going to get twice the cost. We must deal with what we have today in order for our community to grow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Any other comments? If not, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Henry?
Yes, have a couple. I'll start with the first one. I'm very glad that we were able to get the Housing Committee Capacity Grant that we just received, and we're moving forward in that. We've met with the CDBG grant administrator and gotten directions from him as to how we have to proceed. The Housing Committee has to put together a course of action, which the committee is working on now. We're going to be getting with the county manager on some of the other details that we need to take care of. In the interim of that, we have a housing coordinator that is moving forward on the projects that we have. He's doing a lot of good in the county. A lot of the citizens are experiencing their homes being repaired. They're senior, disabled, and so forth. And that's a great outreach that the county is doing. So I would ask the board at this time to extend the contract that we have with Chris Couch, who is our housing coordinator, until we can implement the grant that we're working on. And hopefully we'll have it implemented where we can start drawing down the funds and put him on a salary through the grant, hopefully by the first of the year. So, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that, or make a motion that.
Let's wait on the motion till we get comments, okay?
Okay.
We did that a while ago, we need to do it now. Jack, you got any comments?
Henry and I had already discussed it.
John?
On the motion or what?
No, the motion hadn't been made. We're doing the comments first. We got cut in the middle a while ago because of comments and motion.
General comment.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad to see everyone here today. Glad you come out. Just clarify something again. This is about size, amount, location, and process. We're going to start forward on this courthouse. I challenge you as citizens to voice your concerns to you commissioners. Don't let us go through the process that we went through previously. It's not a healthy process for any of us. Now that we've got this, if we're going to be going this process, it's time to move. It's time to act. It's time to take the ball. You'll get your chance, but now's the time to move the ball. That happens, and I hope you will do that. It's a painful process for everyone. My whole deal is, there again, it's about being wise and being very wise with your dollars, your tax dollars. And I plan to do the same thing on this courthouse issue. That's most important to me. And so I hope you can understand that commitment that I have. That's what my training, my education background is about. And if anybody would want to question my commitment to education, I've spent quite a few of my earning dollars on education. Quite a few. But as I said, education is about motivation. It's about parental guidance and motivating your child to succeed. It is their vehicle to success. That's the only way they get it. But it does have to be self-driven. You can throw all of the money in the world at something, but if they're not willing to accept it, and as Mr. Taylor said, and use it, it's not doing you any good. Absolutely none. That's a personal commitment that we as individuals have to take. So get involved. Get involved. Watch what's going on. You have just as much right as anybody up here. The same equal right. And as I said before, make your voice heard. It don't have to be loud, but make your voice and you heard so that someone understands that. But I appreciate you taking the time to come out here today, and I hope you will continue to come. Thank you.
Kenny?
I certainly, like Johnny, certainly glad to see everyone here today. I want you to continue to come back. Speak up. Don't be afraid. I know Mr. Felton there says he was nervous. We get nervous up here too. So don't feel bad about that. In the library, moving forward, I think this is the way to go. Moving forward with our old courthouse and trying to do something to stabilize it, to improve it, I certainly think is a way to go also. My personal take on it was we needed to get the library out of the old courthouse so we can really go in there and do a nice job in remodeling or whatever we need to do to it. I personally would like to see it. Mr. Winslow said you need to make it something historical. I would personally like to see it made into some type of museum, have things in there from Gates County. And also it went back to the library being in there was the size. If you left the library in there, you can't change the footprint of the building because it's a historical site. So your library would have still been squeezed right back in the same amount of square footage. And we need that additional square footage in another building. And that's, just how I feel about it. Thank you, and thank you for coming.
All right, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I would also like to agree with Johnny about being involved. I would like each and every one to remember in the process, when you've got a problem with an issue, contact your commissioner in your district. Don't just pick a commissioner that you think is on your side all the time. Because people, the ones that talk to me are the positive people and come to me because they also, and Johnny has the same issue, and we end up over here fighting battles with people that don't want to talk to their commissioner. And that causes problems with all of us. The people that talk to me are the people that I listen to. Just because somebody comes here and has got something negative to say doesn't mean that's the only voice I hear. I do hear other voices. But if I knew that up front, I could bounce with what I hear other places. I'm sure all the commissioners feel the same thing. Sunbury District, Hopsville District, Rensselaer. If you'll talk to your commissioner. If you're negative, let your commissioner know so he can know how you feel in your district. Not pick one commissioner that you feel is the one that will support you the most. And then we'll all have the information that we need when we come to the table. I think the library is a smart thing to do at this time. I've said that all along. Another thing, I do challenge the commissioners. If you're against it or for it, we're moving forward with it. I expect every commissioner to use its knowledge to make sure that we get the best library for our money, not just to set back because it's happening, somebody else can do it. Each commissioner is going to be part of making sure the library is built to get the best for our money. I as an electrical contractor and a mechanical contractor, will be watching, and as a taxpayer myself, will be watching every part of this to make sure we get the best for our money. I expect the citizens and the commissioners to do the same. Because that's what we are as Gates County, to make sure Gates County gets the best Gates County can get. That's what we're all here for. Now, Henry, you want to go back to the motion you want to make?
Yes. Based on the comments that I previously made, I'd like to make a motion that we extend the contract of our housing coordinator until such time that the capacity grant is implemented.
You want the money to be used out of general fund? Is that the way you would like to do that?
Yes.
Okay, we've got a motion that we maintain our housing coordinator and a contract till we can get the grant money in place. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. I'm sorry, Cody.
No, it's fine. I just want to clarify something that was said.
Okay.
You said out of the general fund, is that?
A fund balance, I'm sorry,
Okay.
fund balance.
Well, I just want to make sure that's what
Yeah,
the
fund
people
balance.
voted for. 'cause-
That's what we voted for.
Well, I think this process is that we look to see if we've got any.
Exactly, which is the exact opposite of what was just said. So I want to be clear on what the motion.
If we've got somewhere we can move around, but if not, then we go to the fund balance.
Well, everything will be in the general fund then, right?
Well, yeah, and my next question is, was there an expiration date on this, or is this open-ended?
It was set up till we can get the grant money in place and start using that.
Okay.
We have to have it in place by January 22nd.
Okay. So we're saying the end of January is the de facto end date?
Yeah, well,
Right.
yeah, well, we
Okay.
got. that's-
Okay. I just want to stop, be clear. Thanks, sir.
The next on our agenda, we're going to have to go into closed session. We need a motion to go in closed session authorized by General Statutes 143-318.11A6. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. We're now out of closed session. Any other discussion we need to have?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion that we adjourn.
All right, we've got a motion to
Second.
adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.